recently I went to make my husband's lunch. It was just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I realized I was out of jelly. And I thought I had another jar in the pantry, and I didn't. And so it just kind of set me on this little quest of thinking about what is it that I have in my pantry that we're actually using and what do we not use. So I went through my pantry, and there were a lot of things that were in there that we actually don't use. Like there's some old crackers that we had at the holidays, but we don't eat crackers on a regular basis, and so they were sitting there. They were old. They didn't need to be in my pantry. And then on the other hand, there were some things that we use on a regular basis, like jelly, and I really wanted to have a backup of each of those items in my pantry so that whenever I run out, I have a backup that I can pull out and then, replenish it at some point. So I've made a list of all the things that we use on a regular basis that I knew I wanted to have as a backup in my pantry. And I also needed to get some just grocery shopping done and fill up some things in my refrigerator. So I'm going to show you a quick grocery haul, and then we're just going to prep a lot of that food and get it ready to go and put in the pantry and in the refrigerator. These are some of the backup items that I wanted to have in my pantry. So an extra thing of ketchup, canola. Oh, I got the wrong one. Canola. It was supposed to be olive oil. Nonstick spray. I might have to see if I can change that out. Applesauce. I had requested unsweetened, and they substituted it with original, and I didn't see it before they changed it, but it's always nice to have that in stock. Some grape jelly, cocoa powder, baking powder, salt, and then some taco seasoning. So that is for the pantry. And then we have a birthday coming up, so I got some very unhealthy items for an ice cream cake that I will be making. Whipped topping, ice cream, hot fudge topping, and then the Great Value brand of the Oreo cookies. That is everything that goes into the ice cream cake that I make. And then just some items that I needed for this week, some provolone and cheddar slices of cheese, some frozen green beans. I was out. I have all the other vegetables that we like to eat, but I was out of green beans, so I grabbed that. And then some Jimmy Dean sausage, navy beans. I'm going to try to make these for baked beans instead of buying the canned baked beans. So we will see how that goes. And then just some burrito shells and a couple of cleaning soaps, cleaning products that I was going to be out of soon. So I wanted to have that as a backup. Here is what I got at Costco, and the only pantry item that I got was this peanut butter. The only ingredients in the organic peanut butter is peanuts and salt. So I was glad to not see hydrogenated oil or fructose corn syrup in there. So I got two of those, so I can have one to use and one in the pantry. And then the rest is just some items that we needed. Raspberries were only $2.79 for one of these, so I grabbed two because we love those. Bananas for smoothies. Strawberries, a 2-pound was, I want to say $4, $4.69 maybe, so that was a pretty good deal. And then I grabbed some cheddar cheese and butter, some string cheese that we like there. This huge bag of lemons. We're going to be doing some lemonade this summer. And then also I'm going to use this to make some muffins. And then the Cara oranges. These are really good. We love these, and they were not very expensive. They're always cheaper than the other kind, so we went with those. And then I grabbed a giant bag of potatoes, 10 pounds of potatoes. And I think it was a little over $5 for 10 pounds. So that was a good deal. Some apples. And then this is new at my Costco. It's a 10-pound roll of ground beef, and it was 10 cents a pound cheaper than the other packages. So I got it. I'm going to try it out, divide it up, and fill up my freezer with that ground beef. I had put all of the groceries up in the refrigerator and I wasn't able to get to it until the next day. So I just started off by washing all of my fruits and then putting them in containers and in drawers in the refrigerator so that they're just easily accessible for snacks and for meals. And I started off with the berries, just the strawberries and the raspberries. And for fruit, I always just put them in a water bath, just in a bowl with cold water, and I kind of swish them around and let them sit for a little bit. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of vinegar, but for the most part, I usually just use water, get all the dirt and whatever chemicals was on there, hopefully washed off. And then I will drain that into a strainer, a colander, and then just rinse it off one final time. And then I will dry them off as best as I can before I put them into a container. I have found that my strawberries last a lot longer when I put a paper towel at the bottom of the dish that I'm putting them in. And actually all berries that I clean, I usually put a paper towel at the bottom just to catch some of the moisture down there, and it makes the berries last longer. And then especially with strawberries, I used to cut them up, but I found that just leaving them whole works better, and sometimes we'll just eat them like that. And then other times, like if we're having a yogurt parfait or something for breakfast, then I will just cut them up the day of, and that seems to work well for us. I have just recently been purchasing raspberries from Costco. I hadn't purchased them in the past because I had always thought that they were so sour. And so I would usually just stick with strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. But we have been absolutely loving raspberries lately. They're just such a nice snack to just eat on their own. And then also we like to put them with some Greek yogurt and a little bit of honey for either a snack in the middle of the day or just for breakfast. And of course, they're healthy for you. And so they have just been really enjoyable. As you can see right here, my daughter was sneaking a couple. Well, she wasn't really sneaking them, but she just enjoyed snacking on them as well. We go through a lot of potatoes at our home. So I had this 10-pound bag from Costco that I put into a paper bag, and then I'm just leaving it in our basement in this paper bag, and that just makes the potatoes last a whole lot longer than if I keep them up in the kitchen where it's warmer, and they tend to go bad quicker if I leave them upstairs. So sometimes I will get the 10-pound bags from Aldi as well, because we will use them up. And I've found that if I just keep them in a cool, dark space in a paper bag, they last me a good while. So I was finishing that up, and then I just had some things here in the refrigerator, again, that had just been shoved in there, and I needed to organize it a little bit better. These string cheese sticks were from Costco as well, and there were a bunch in here. I think there were like 64 sticks, so they all needed to be taken apart and then put in my dairy bin, and I had to kind of rearrange a few things, but I got it all in there. I'm trying to keep mostly just cheeses in this bin, and then my sour cream and feta cheese I'm just putting on the side of the bin is what I ended up doing. So I had to kind of rearrange a few things, but we got it figured out. The last thing that I had stocked up on was ground beef. So I had these 10 pounds that needed to be cut up, and then I wrapped them in saran wrap and placed them in a freezer bag. And I had accidentally purchased some 2-gallon freezer bags a while ago, and they were just so big, and I really didn't have any use for them, but I was able to fit all 10 pounds of ground beef into the 2-gallon Ziploc freezer bag. So that actually came in handy. And now I'm like, okay, well, if I keep buying these 10-pound rolls, then I may just keep using the 2-gallon freezer bags, because they're actually quite large and I don't have a whole lot that I usually need them for. So anyways, I'm just finishing all of that up, and then I'm going to give you a little tour of my refrigerator and how I have it set up. It's nothing fancy, but it does work well for us. And of course, this is my new-ish refrigerator to me. I've had it a few weeks now, but I am just learning, how I want it set up, and I'm sure things will change as time goes on. So far, I have been keeping a lot of our leftovers on the top shelf, and then our drinks on the second shelf. And then over on the door, I have our dairy, like our butter, and then I have cottage cheese and Greek yogurt, and then I have our condiments, so ketchup and ranch dressing. And then I have our cheese bin, like I showed you, relishes, jelly, salsa, and then at the bottom is just applesauce and jelly. And then, of course, I have our fruit bins. Thank you for joining me in this kitchen restock.